Welcome to the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, the show that puts the spotlight on the incredible women who fuel the world of motorsports. From drivers to crew members, engineers to fans, and everyone in between, we're here to celebrate the trailblazers, dreamers, and doers shaping the sport we love. Each episode, we share inspiring stories of females of all ages from every corner of the motorsports universe, past, present, and future. It's a journey through the seasons of life filled with heartfelt moments, laughter, and a whole lot of horsepower. So whether you're a lifelong fan, a racer yourself, or simply curious about the extraordinary women behind the wheel, settle in, relax, and enjoy a fun and uplifting ride with us. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, connecting and celebrating women in motorsports, one story at a time. Let's hit the track.
Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. And Jessica Trout is my guest today. And Jessica, I'm excited to have you on because, I interview a lot of drivers and a lot of those kinds of things, but I don't necessarily talk to someone who's involved with a company that's important to motorsports and all kinds of other venues or too. But you're going to talk to us a little bit about Schaefferr Oil, and I'm excited to hear more about you, what you do, and about Schaefferr. So tell me your story.
Well, I'm Jessica. Thank you for having me. I'm in the Harrisburg area, and I work for Schaefferr alongside with my father, Gary Trout. And a funny story how I started getting into it. My father started first when I was in 8th grade. And I actually did a science fair project on it. I used to write his orders for him while he faxed them in. Then I just kind of fell into loving the job, and I wanted to start it as a career and work beside my dad and take care of our customers as a family, as our own. And Schaefferr is a 186-year-old company from St. Louis, Missouri. So all of our products and refinery, our kettles, everything is made and manufactured in St. Louis, including our plastic material. We purchased that from another plant in St. Louis. So everything is made in the US and formulated here, which is great for us.
Yeah, and that's important. People want to buy from American companies. Made in the USA is a big deal, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, especially with containers.
Yes.
In any type of 55-gallon, whether it's a tote or even our quart bottle containers, having it made here in the U.S. is a big deal. And then being one of the many U.S.-owned, 7th-generation owned family companies is not really as heard of anymore as it used to be. Mm-hmm. But we actually started out with the black beauty grease for trains and then worked our way up to oil. And now we have a lot of different types of greases, gear oils, transmission fluids, all the way down to your industrial cleaners, and then your oils as well. So there are quite a few different products that Schaefferr has.
So what is the main thing? You worked with your dad, so I'm assuming you kind of still work together. The importance of visiting those customers, and it probably was more back in the day. Was it more face-to-face? And now is it less because we have Zoom and StreamYard and all these? Or do you still go out and see all those customers?
We still go out and see all of them. It's easier and better to show customers how it works. And then I also take pictures of how customers are seeing the benefits, whether it's through WebScope, which is a third-party independent lab oil analysis that we use in Ohio, and they're actually registered with Schaefferr. We do extended drain intervals. So showing the proof and customers changing, doesn't matter what type of oil they were using before, but switching over to Schaefferr to show that they were able to extend their drains, having less downtime, that also is the proof. But it's better to go to a facility in person, whether you have an appointment or not. It's just nice to show face and make an appointment then. That way, you're there willing to learn. As a lubrication consultant is primarily how Schaefferr likes to work that way, not just as a sales rep trying to tell you something. we're there for quality and to help our customers' equipment last longer and give more horsepower to races, of course.
I love that you're a lubricant consultant instead of a salesperson, because honestly, I don't know if you're familiar with a store called The Buckle, but when my girls were younger, they loved to shop at The Buckle at the mall. And I hated that store. And I'll tell you why. Because when I walked in, whatever salesperson could grab you first was trying to shove jeans and shirts and stuff to my girls. Yeah. And I did not like that. I just want to go in the store and look around. I don't want the pressure of a salesperson. Right. You go in as a partner with them. You're the lubricant consultant, just like they might have an air conditioning consultant or whatever, right? Yep. You're not there necessarily to sell them something. You're there to help them find the products they need that are best for that company and provide those products. And I love that that's a whole different way to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I try to. I don't say, what are all your issues? I just kind of give them this is how our customers, I've seen the benefits with Schaefferr. Their bearings look almost like new because of our moly and penetro in there. The savings with the economy, and then obviously with your mileage, you're getting more and then less wear and tear. But I primarily try to show that way, if there is something going on, they're like, oh, well, yeah, we have issues with our compressor, or we have issues with this truck. It's always coming in. Well, let me see if one of our products can help. And if there is a mechanical issue or something almost like a warranty issue, WebScope shows whether there's antifreeze or something going on with that specific type of equipment. That also helps the customer. Hey, the OEM, this is not right. And this is an independent lab. We need to fix this. It's not the oil. Yeah. It's the actual manufacturer. So we try to help no matter what. It's not just trying to sell different products and put money in the pocket. It's more, we're there for the customer to help them out, not
the big dollar. Down the road, that's a way to build relationships, for one thing, because if let's just say they're having trouble with the truck and they've tried everything, and then you help them, you say, well, let me take a shot at this. And then you send it to your Webco, is it called?
Yeah. WebScope. Yeah.
WebScope. And so they find out, oh, it is a problem with the manufacturer. And you can go back to them and say, contact your manufacturer about this or this. How grateful are they going to be to that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And not only that, but even when I cross, I always try to go with the OEM, what that type of equipment or machinery calls for. And then I always like to triple check with Schaefferr, the technical department, because they're aware of the issues, whether it doesn't matter what type of company it is or what the equipment is. But if there was an issue way back in 2000 or 2005, they already have it in their notes when they look up, for that specific equipment. And if we don't have a product, we're not going to try and tell you something that's could be all right. We make sure this is the benefits you get. This is the product. They might not even be using the right ISO grade, depending on the application. So that's where Schaefferr comes in, and we try to basically be a lubrication consultant, not sell them everything that we can. But
Right. So why don't we educate not just myself, but my listeners, what different kinds of companies or oils, however you want to go about it, about your product line. It's huge. I know it's huge, so you can't do everything. But what are some of the companies that would be relying on Schaefferr oil, or a company that maybe if they're listening to it, they're like, well, I never thought about trying them. What kind of companies use your products?
Well, we have everything from industrial, whether it's like an energy plant, a paper mill, plastic molding plant, down to even our food grade processing, and then all the way to farming, ag control. We have a lift certain equipment in that aspect, mills, Basically, it's almost everything you can think of. Schaefferr does have a product for it. But the nice thing is, if you go on schaefferoil.com, they do categorize different markets of business. So you can click on whether you're an over-the-road hauler or contracting or heavy moving equipment, logging. You can click on that certain company, and then it will show the most products that are purchased with that type of business. So Schaefferr does help try to minimize the products so you're not overwhelmed, because we have 12 different greases. And if you don't know our grease compared to what you're currently using, you're not going to know which grease to use. So that's where, we come in and help customers go in that aspect. But it is nice with our website now that we categorize the different market fields for them.
Absolutely, because it could be very overwhelming, couldn't it?
It is. We do have quite a few products. I mean, our project line card it's 3-folded pamphlet. I mean, it's huge, but we do categorize it from motorcycles to racing, industrial, trucking, agriculture, farming. So it is nicely categorized, but it is a lot of products to comb through, and it could be overwhelming.
So how did the company get started? Do you know, Jessica? You're a young gal, so I know you weren't around back in the day, but how did the company kind of get started? And then how did it get involved in the motorsports area of the products?
Well, we got started with the Black Beauty grease in 1886, and then we've developed products since then. Now, I'm not sure the very first product, but it probably was diesel oil, and then regular oil with a few different greases. And now we're into racing. We've been into racing for quite a while here. So, but my father and I have recently took a deep dive in racing the past couple of years here, because our landscaping customers, some of our industrial customers have sport that is more like an outlet for them. When they're finished with their job, they like to do racing. So they asked us, well, what kind of racing oil do you guys have? And we took a deep dive into the certain specific engine that they take, whether it's on alcohol running or a regular, and then we can let them know which Schaefferr product is best to use. Because even in our racing oils, we have quite a few different racing oils to go through. But we've always been there, but not specifically went for racing. But these past 2 years we have.
Yeah. And you have to have a passion for it too, or you wouldn't have done the deep dive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it is fun to watch. I love watching sprint cars. They're one of my favorite cars to watch, because they're always passive, moving and grooving. And then even with the aerodynamics, the top lifts there, it's just neat to watch them race.
Yeah. And Pennsylvania, there's a lot of sprint car activity out that direction.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, I live in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Not as much sprint car activity here. I mean, we have some, but we have mostly asphalt circle tracks, if you will.
Okay.
So it's funny how each part of the country kind of has their specialty, and yet we dip into a little bit of sprint car racing now and then, and some dirt tracks. But yeah, Pennsylvania is kind of known for some of their awesome sprint car drivers and tracks. So when you go to, let's just say you go to one of your customers and he says, oh, I drive a 410 Sprint and this and that. What kind of oil do I need? What do you have to do to figure that out? Do you have a program you can put all the details in and it tells you, or do you have to do research? How do you really go about really helping that customer?
I do ask whether they're running ethanol, which is alcohol, or not. And most of the time, these guys have 4 different sprint cars. So the best thing to be safe than sorry and saving your money is to do our 191. It's a 20W50. It's 100% pure paraffin. So it's specifically made for alcohol engines. You can use it in other types of engines. It's not going to hurt it. It just doesn't have that synthetic in there. So we have our 705 racing oil, which is a 20W50, but it has a synthetic additive in, which is great. But with alcohol, which I've learned from my racing engine rebuilders when running a synthetic in an alcohol burning engine, it just burns up your synthetic material. So you paid X amount of dollars specifically for that synthetic material just for it to burn up. So you've wasted your money. And I hate seeing customers waste money when I know they could get better horsepower and all of the stability that they need and performance they need in that engine. So that's why I primarily sell the 191 to the 410 sprint cars. But that's learning from my racing engine rebuilders. That's where you learn the specifics and what works, why it doesn't work, and how Schaefferr works and the progress that they see. Because they're going to tell you, they're not going to sugarcoat anything. Yeah. It is what it is. Where the driver, they're in it for the driving. The race team, they can unload and put a new engine in, and I don't even know, 10 seconds flat. It's crazy how fast they can do it. I mean, it's unbelievable. But yeah, the racing engine rebuilder, they know the specific details in the bearings, the seals, the rings, the flat tappets. They tell you logistically how everything works and the component, even through the dyno testing. So, and I love to research, understand, take pictures, and take it all in as much as they'll give me.
Yeah. So the engine builders, that's interesting. So they're probably the number one place maybe where you can say, what kind of oil should I suggest to so-and-so because this is the engine you built for him. They are very knowledgeable about all those things, correct?
Yes. 9 times out of the 10, it's the engine rebuilder that's telling the driver what oil to put in. So they're not for the sponsorships. They're, the driver and the race team, they need those sponsorships in order to go through and race, where some drivers, they don't have that, unfortunately. So my father and I, we do give sponsorships out to racers and engine rebuilders. It doesn't matter who you are, what you drive. That's how we are. If you're racing, we know it's a competitive, very expensive sport to be in. But with the engine rebuilders, they know the specific types of oil that works and doesn't work in the ingredient detail of the oil. So it doesn't really, I don't want to say it doesn't matter the brand, but the specific additives that are in the oils, they know through the testing of the engines. But that's how I know the 191 works specifically in those 410s.
So how did you get introduced to these engine builders? It doesn't seem like that would have been your normal, maybe customer.
No, it really wasn't. It was more Google searching sprint car engine rebuilders and then going from there and showing how Schaefferr worked. Like, we have a sponsorship with Andretti Sprint Car Racing. So that really helped in showing, hey, Andretti's full car line is using all Schaefferr products down to our grease, our gear oil, and our engine oil. So in showing that aspect, that's how we got further in the engine rebuilder. And then they pass it along to their drivers. And then that's how they purchased it. But now, since we're already approved and shown proof that Schaefferr works, we have 90% of the engine rebuilders here in PA alone.
Yeah, because it's word of mouth, isn't it?
Yes.
I switch. I'm an engine builder, and I suggested this to my driver, and now he's using it, and then he's doing really well at the track. And then somebody says, "Well, what kind of oil are you using? What kind of lubricants are you using?" And then he'll say Schaefferr, and then it's just spirals, doesn't it?
Correct. Yeah, that, and then seeing the horsepower that they get, because most of them have GoPros. Some of them show, how the engine's progressing and how much water it needs to cool down the engine, or the RPMs and the horsepower that they're getting. Not only that, but through the dyno testing as well. But seeing it on the track and then having it go through with the GoPro and showing the driver like how it works, that's your biggest sell point right there. The dyno testing is great, but you don't get the velocity of the air and the turning, you know what I mean, with the dynamics of how the sprint car is made. So in that, the show proof is during the race and how it really shows. Yeah. And then that's how we got into gear oil with the driveline, AL driveline. He's been there for us, and Charlie Garrett, he's helped us get in with Aaron Long, and now we have Gear Oil with certain engine rebuilders going through different sprint car teams across the globe, from England, New Zealand, Australia, and then in the US. So it kind of goes off from there. And these racers, they're not all counterintuitive with, oh, I beat you last time, we're not going to be friends. They all know each other. They're all friends with each other. Even the engine rebuilders, if somebody's having an issue with a certain component, or their bearing manufacturer is, it changed somehow, they're communicating to other engine rebuilders. They're all a very close knit kind of community. It's not like a dog eat dog, kind of community. And I enjoy seeing that as well.
I would think that would be such a blessing to be able to work with, because you're not afraid to mention that you work with Jones engine rebuilders when you're talking to Mr. Smith. Because who knows, they might be huge competitors. But in this world, and this is typical of the racing world, I think, you can be very competitive on the track, but you can be best friends when you're not on the track. And that's true of those companies and those guys that are working there too. And we don't see that in a lot of other industries.
No, hardly at all. But they are pretty close-knit, tight community. And then, once you get one engine rebuilder, is how we saw it. Once we got him and show proof and results, and it wasn't just one racer, he had switched over multiple racers. Once you have more than one person showing the horsepower, the cleanliness of the engine, hardly any sludge or anything in there, engines looking like brand new, just coming out of the box, and the bearings alone. Troy Godfrey, he loves taking apart the engine and seeing the bearings. And he took one out of a box and turned around and took the other one out of the engine. And he said, well, which bearing was the one in this last race? I thought he was just pulling I thought he grabbed two of the new ones out of the box. No, literally one was Schaeffer's and coming right out of the engine. And there was hardly any markings at all on there. Same thing with AL driveline. Now he has a swivel coupler. I had no idea what a swivel coupler was in the driveline, but he's made his own aluminum ball gear and using Schaefferr, and we're doing field testing with a grease that wasn't really known to be put into a driveline, but so far it's working out great. So it's great to go through these field testing with them, and Schaeffer's tech team helping out, especially in the racing industry, like really getting to know, our products, they don't just specifically work in the cookie cutter industrial, application. It also is working in this driveline. So the specifics, that we get into is viscosity and how these greases stay on, especially in this application use. And that's where it's awesome to see. That's what I really like to see. Other Schaefferr products working in a different application, and everybody seeing the benefits of it. Plus, it saves the racer in the long run. They don't have to purchase a new ball gear if there's hardly any burnishing or any scuffing or anything going on in there. So that's another awesome key factor, is saving the customer money. As well.
So do you carry a bag of this is out of the box, this is out of the car? I mean, that would be so fun to go in and try to get.
I know. I don't do that, but I do have I do pictures and stuff. So I showed Charlie Garrett's engine, and I put our 191 bottle on there on the picture, and then I put my information on there, because viewing it, especially going in, even if the customer doesn't even know sprint cars or doesn't race at all, everybody knows if you're showing a racing engine, they're not there for the fuel economy. They're not there for, getting the best mileage they can. They're hitting, heavy down to the metal, flying as fast as they can, turning sharp, not worrying about anything in the world. They're just zooming, right? So
Right.
in showing how that engine works with hardly any scuffs, and that's also what I learned. You have to see how many scuffs are on the engine. It's not how clean it is, but it's all the heat, wear, and tear. Well, I think there's only 2 scuffs that when he was taking apart the crankshaft that it was on there, like next to nothing. And he said it's unbelievable. It's never looks like this. I normally have
Yeah.
to go down and clean it out and then redo the whole thing again. But in showing that even to your ag and tractors,
Mhm.
industrial companies, even if they don't even have driving equipment, just their regular press equipment, it shows the longevity that Schaeffer they can
Yeah.
benefit from. So that's where I like to show, even though they're not in that field. Same thing
Right.
with the ball gear. This is our gear oil and then our grease that's going into testing. And this is the benefits he's seen. And it's actually the same ball gear from 20 races versus a ball gear using a different gear oil after one race. And the one with Schaeffer looks almost brand new. It has just a
Mhm.
few little micro scratches in there. But the one after one race, there's burnishing. It looks like little burnt marks in it. And
Yeah.
then it looks like the one almost looked like his dog chewed it. I said, "You're
Oh
sure your
gosh.
dog didn't get a hold?" He goes, "No, no, this is after." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." But yeah, no, it's just crazy like how like tore up these, components of a vehicle can get if you don't have the right
Mhm.
lubrication or even grease to
Yeah.
benefit.
Isn't it I'm listening to you talk and, who would have dreamed that this would be this exciting of a topic? But it really is, Jessica.
Yeah.
I'm really interested and excited about sharing this because, you know, it's saving them money. You're showing how your products can be used in other areas. So when you know that when a sprint car driver is racing, he's all out. He's
Oh
got
yeah.
his pedal to the metal. Well, and then you take it to a farmer. My dad was a farmer, so we're going to talk about a farmer. You take it to a farmer and you say, "Hey, this is a sprint car after 10 races or whatever it might be. How, this would work in your tractor, your combine, your whatever." And it's impressive,
Yep.
to show them. And it's kind of fun, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is for sure. It is fun. And then especially even like with the gear oil as well, because the tractor transmission fluid, but the
Yeah.
gear oil showing that heat does not affect, you know, the application at all either. And
Yeah.
that's where farmers, just because they're not racing and the engine isn't getting hot that way, but they're hauling, they're
Oh,
pulling,
yeah.
they're out in the fields, the sun's out there, their equipment's getting warm being used. However, it's also getting warm from the sun. They don't have all the shields that a car has. A
Right.
lot of their hoses and everything is out in the elements.
Yeah.
So, and it shows, the Molly will keep that cool and the Penetro in there as well. And it keeps the hoses and seals almost like new. But yeah,
That's
so
very
that's how,
cool.
yeah. And understanding the additives and how they work and how they can save that consumer consumption time
Yeah.
can benefit them as well.
Absolutely. So, Jessica, how can somebody get a hold of you? I'm assuming, can you sell to someone in Michigan, or do we have people here that we should contact? I mean,
So there are sales reps in Michigan. Like if you're looking to talk to a sales rep, you on Schaeffer's website, you can click on locate a rep near me and you just put in your zip code. And then the
okay.
reps that are closest to you, you can contact them.
But what if
But
we
yeah, and
want
then
you to be our rep? I mean,
you could give me a
how do
you
we
could
get
give
a
me
hold
a
of you,
call.
Jessica?
I am on LinkedIn as well as Jessica
Okay.
Trout, and then I have a like a yellow car with racing on there, and then but yeah, you can contact me that way, or even if you call Schaeffer, you can ask them how
Yeah.
can I contact Jessica Trout, and then go from there.
Yeah.
So, but there are quite a few ways, but to find the most local rep, it
Okay.
would be on Schaeffer's website, and then you could
Okay.
find the nearest rep near you.
Okay.
But to ask about our products, like if you wanted to go in more like a deep dive, more into technical information, you can call Schaefferr and ask for the tech department. And they're more than willing to go into further detail with how Schaefferr crosses into that product, or if you're having specific issues with that type of equipment, they'll walk you through like what could possibly going on, whether it's the wrong, like I said, ISO grade, or whether you need to switch using a certain grease to, a higher, even if it needs a tactifier in that grease. You just never know, but they'll take the time to go through your equipment with you, because we're there for the customer.
Right.
Not just, to sell oil or lubrication. It's more, well, what are the issues? Because there could be something minor that you just don't have the right type of product for your use.
Your dad must be very proud of you, Jessica.
Oh, yeah. I learned a lot from him. I mean, you can't just get all this information or learn everything about Schaefferr, whether you just take hydraulic oil or engine oil within the year. It's more, you just got to take in a little bit at a time, because it's a lot of information. It's not just one industry and that's it. Now and you got to know the certain dynamics of it. So I really try to dive in and know key points of all of our oil and then going through that way. But I've been with Schaefferr since 2011. So that's where I really took a technical information. That way I knew a few key points of all our products to tell customers and to show them this is what sets Schaefferr apart from other type of lubricants in that kind of way, to educate them that way.
And educating them is a bonus, because, it's like if you go to buy a coffee pot and there's 50 of them sitting on the shelf, and you don't, it's like, I wish somebody would just tell me which is the best one. And so it's nice to feel like you're educating them and then letting them make the decision.
Right.
You're not browbeating them into buying your oil.
No, and it's not like, and cross-referencing it, it's a very, in depth, because you can't just cross-reference what they're currently using, especially if they're having like a minor issue, whether their seals go out. Well, it just went out. It's probably, the guys aren't greasing it as much. Well, you could be using the wrong type of fluid. You know what I mean? So, and that's why we try to completely understand the year, make, model of the unit or equipment that they have, and making sure we have that OEM spec as well.
Right.
Whether it's German engineered or anything like that, we try to make sure, because there are, a lot of different products out there, a lot of different OEMs, a lot of certifications that are needed. So, and Schaeffer's going right in there. We just got API certified gasoline equipment now, and going that way. Now we're getting into the diesel, because now that's making certain, it is crazy how some of these engines are being built. So, but now we're getting into that certification and making engine oil for those specs as well.
Yeah. Very cool. I've learned, oh my gosh, I've learned a lot. And I've been aware of Schaefferr for quite a while. I didn't realize they were in so many countries. That's cool, because I have women that I've interviewed that race in all those countries that you just mentioned. So that's pretty cool. Love that you shared this with me today, Jessica. I think we could probably talk for another hour just about all the different things that you do. But I want to encourage people to find you on LinkedIn. And if they have any questions, I know you'll know who to send them to for sure. Because you're very knowledgeable.
Yeah. And if it's specific about like racing, like, because a lot of these engines rebuilders, they have their name on the engine, obviously. But the racers, they don't just race here in PA, not only in Florida or Michigan, or Missouri.
Sure.
I mean, they go out everywhere. So it's, it's a benefit to show, just because we're in smaller PA, which sprint cars are pretty normally, known upon, but Australia, they're also huge. So just having, the racing engine rebuilder here in PA, his engine's over there as well. And that racer is showing,
true,
this is what I can do. This is the horsepower that I've
Yeah.
received. But yeah, it is neat how we go across globally.
We really do. Well, Jessica, thank you for being on with me today. I really appreciate this. I think this is going to be a good show for people to listen to, men and women, to get some new knowledge about not just Schaefferr, but about product in general, and to say, hey, I have never tried Schaefferr, but I'm going to give them a try because sounds like they have something for every situation.
Oh, yes, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks again. Any last words that you want to share before we conclude our interview?
Well, I appreciate you having me on here.
Sure.
There is one other thing that Schaefferr does have as well. We work with American Lube equipment. So
Okay.
your towed equipment, automatic grease pumps, that is also, Schaefferr has a contract with them just like they do with WebScope. So
Okay.
we do sell certain types of pumps through American Lube, and that is an American company as well.
Yeah.
Schaefferr is very into keeping everything here in the US and making sure that it's made right
Yeah.
and backing everything up that we have contracts with and certifications with. That way our consumer is just as happy as we are.
Yeah, that's important, especially the more, you look around at what's happening in the world, it's important that we buy American, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Jessica, tell your dad, thank you for sharing with me about you. That's how I learned about you and what you do. And I hopefully maybe we can get you on again, or if you have some new products that come out, it'd be a great way to share new things that you're doing. I'd love to have you on again.
All right. Perfect. Sounds great. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
That's it for this episode of the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. We hope you've been inspired by the stories I shared today and feel more connected to the amazing community of women in motorsports. Remember, whether you're behind the wheel, in the pits, or cheering from the stands, your story matters. And together, we're driving change and celebrating every milestone. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who loves motorsports as much as you do. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more incredible stories. So until next time, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep racing through life. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, where every woman's story is worth celebrating.